Let's see, $20 for food, $10 for technology, and $150 left for me. If only budget creation were as simple as playing with Monopoly money. I'd definitely be the guy who's got hotels on Park Place, but then forgets that he's renting a studio apartment in the Lower East Side. Buy. While these bills won't actually buy you anything, a well-constructed budget can make or break your organization. But budgets are kind of like ice cream shops.
How is that?
There's 32 different flavors and the ingredients are mostly the same with a few adjustments in the flavoring to make them different. Okay, now all I want is ice cream. Where's the ice cream? Don't get distracted, Tom. Focus. In this video, I will give you a simple but yet solid budget that you can use to get clarity on the upcoming year. And it should take you no less than an hour to put this all together. And no, I'm sorry, but building a money tree or finding a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow is not part of this process.
You're so wrong.
Let's get into this video and I'll show you what I mean. Several years ago, I joined the board of a nonprofit. I was the newest member on that board, and so I had a steep learning curve in front of me to catch up with the knowledge of everyone else at the table. After every board meeting, however, the group ate dinner at a fancy New York City restaurant. As if the food cost wasn't high enough, the drink prices were obnoxious. When the bill finally arrived at the table, I'd always try and sneak a peek at it because I knew it must have been like $300 per person. Because we had these board meetings every month, these dinners would also then happen every month. My first reaction was just like shock as to how much money we were spending on dinners for just the board members. But then my second reaction, because I was new and didn't know any better, was that like, wow, the organization must be rolling in cash to afford these types of dinners. Fast forward 1 year later, a new president was elected and the board turned over. Guess what the new president found? The organization was massively in debt. This meant we were spending way more money than actually we were bringing in revenue. Classic nonprofit plot twist. The Michelin-starred dinners were the first to get cut from that new budget. It turns out our prior president wasn't actually operating with a budget at all. Running an organization without a budget is like going to the grocery store hungry without a shopping list. You end up with a cart full of snacks and a bank account that looks surprisingly empty. A budget is your finance compass, ensuring you don't stray too far from your fiscal path and goals. So to create a simple budget for your organization, first we need to get really clear on just a few terms. The first term is revenue. It's all about the money that comes into your organization. This money can come from membership fees, product sales, and even donations. Revenue is the exciting part. It's the cha-ching sound your organization loves to hear. It's like opening gifts on your birthday. Oh, please be a puppy, please be a puppy, please be a puppy, please be a puppy. A tie. Whack, whack. Expenses, on the other hand, is all about the money you spend to keep your organization running. Expenses can be anything from software subscription, travel expenses, salaries, advertisement, and on and on. Expenses are like the cleanup after your birthday party. They're necessary, but no one enjoys doing it. La 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 la, la 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 la, clean it up, clean it up. Net profit is when you take your revenue and you subtract your expenses and you get your net profit. Nonprofit organizations will want their net profit to be as close to zero as possible, whereas for-profit organizations, they try to make it above zero. So you have revenue, you have expenses, and you have net profit. Those are the three terms we're gonna focus on in this simple budget here. Now that we are clear on those terms, we need to do one more thing before we can actually create that budget. If your organization has been around for a while, you likely have some prior budgets that you can examine. Pull those budgets out. These budgets are extremely helpful in assessing our realistic projections for the future. As the saying goes, your past behavior is a strong indicator of your future behavior. If your past revenue has grown by 10% over the last 3 years, we can probably assume that things are going to be about the same this upcoming year. And on the expense side, by looking at your prior years, you can predict where and how much money you're going to spend in the various expense categories that we're going to talk about later. So if you have these documents, this is a great place to start for the new year. Pull them out, dust them off, and review them. However, if you don't have these documents, don't worry. You're going to be okay. It just means that we have to ask our magic 8-ball for the answer. Oh dear 8-ball, will I make money this year? Will I make money? Just kidding. It means we'll have to make some educated guesses. So now that we have the terms out of the way, let's talk about the actual budget and the budget template.
Finally.
The basic structure of a budget has 3 parts: the revenue, the expenses, and the net profit. Knowing that these are the 3 parts that you're gonna need, all you now need is just a simple spreadsheet to create your budget structure. On the top part of the spreadsheet, this is where you show your revenue. In the middle section, this is where you're gonna put your expenses. And then at the bottom section, that's going to be your net profit, whether you cry or smile. Once you create this basic structure in that spreadsheet, now it's time to fill in with some real information. Starting with your revenue, also known as income sources. Show me the money! Where is your cash coming from? When you look ahead at the year, where is your money coming from? This can be membership fees, donations, grants, t-shirt sales, bake sales, whatever you have money coming into your organization. Think of all the possible places that money will come in throughout the year. And no, again, I should repeat that finding a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is not a legitimate money source. This list will be extremely small for some of you because you only have money coming in from one place. However, other organizations, you might have money coming in from several different sources. On your budget spreadsheet, put each source of revenue on its own row in the revenue section. Then in the column next to it, create a projection of how much revenue you think will come in for each revenue source throughout the year. When you have this information inputted, you are now done with the revenue section of your spreadsheet. Woohoo! How are you doing? I know talking about finances can be exhausting and it's stressing. So I want to take a moment to check in with you and see how you're feeling on the inside. If this stresses you, take some deep breaths. Watch my video on state management, drink some tea, think about bunnies, and then come back here because it's time to move on to expenses. This is where you plan how to spend your organization's money. Expenses are the part of budgeting that's like checking your phone battery and realizing you're at 2%. Suddenly you have to prioritize. Do I really need to use that GPS to get me home or watch this YouTube video? I'll watch the YouTube video. Every industry has its own expense categories. For example, pet groomers might have an expense category just for Band-Aids because of how often they get bit while trying to brush their dogs. We here at Swift Kick, we have an expense category for coffee, lots of coffee, because caffeine is our secret ingredient to creating as many videos as we do. Coffee.
I want coffee.
Instead of trying to predict your specific expense category, let me just give you the most common expense categories so that you can continue creating this simple but solid budget. The most common expense categories are salary and wages, rent and utility, office supplies and equipment, marketing and advertisement, travel and entertainment, professional services such as lawyers, accountants, consultants, and so on, insurance, and of course, miscellaneous, because There's always gonna be something that doesn't quite fit in any of those other categories. Now, just like with the revenue section, each category should go on its own line in the expense section of your spreadsheet. And then next to each category, just like we did with the revenue, estimate how much you expect to spend in the upcoming year. Be realistic and base your estimates on past expenses or your best educated guess if you don't have past documents to look at. It's better to overestimate your expenses and be pleasantly surprised than to underestimate them and end up in a financial pickle. Once you've filled out both your revenue and your expenses, it's time to calculate your net profit. This is simply your total projected revenue minus your projected expenses. This number should ideally be close to zero for nonprofits because typically surplus in a nonprofit gets reinvested back into the organization. For-profit organizations, this number represents the profit you expect to make. If it's a positive number, you feel like a genius and you'll order that fancy champagne for the New Year's celebration. Wah! Happy New Year! If you end up in the negative number, Costco champagne, here we come. Woohoo, another year. Don't panic if you have a negative number. This is just a sign that you need to either increase revenue or cut down expenses. Even though at this point you have your revenue, your expenses, and your net profit numbers, remember your budget isn't set in stone. It's a living document that should be reviewed regularly. As the year progresses, you'll likely need to make adjustments as actual revenue and expenses become clearer. Regular reviews will help you stay on track and make informed decisions about what you should or shouldn't do. Boom! So there you have it. Creating a budget might not be as thrilling as spending that Monopoly money, which is on the floor and I need to clean up later, but it's less risky than betting it all on Baltic Avenue. And it's crucial for your health of your organization. Just like a good map guides a traveler, a well-constructed budget guides an organization towards financial stability and success. The most important thing is that you just start. Once you have a budget, you're gonna feel more in control of your organization's financial future. It may not be perfect. In fact, it probably won't be perfect, but it's better than nothing. So dive in, get your numbers together, and start building that budget. Remember, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one well-planned budget. And hey, if you find that pot of gold, let me know, okay? Until next time, happy budgeting, and here's to your organization's health and financial success. If you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and check out all of our videos as we continue to build out content to help you to better engage your people. Speaking of which, my name is Tom. I'm here to help you to engage your people. I'll see you in the next video.